All right, let's dive right in. Today, we've got a story that is just fascinating. It starts with one of Japan's most important myths, then we're going to zoom in on the hidden meaning of a single word, and believe it or not, it all ends with a modern mystery that's popping up in today's news.
So, where does this all begin? Well, like a lot of great myths, it starts with a legendary weapon, a sword, born from something incredible that would go on to become a symbol for an entire empire.
I mean, just think about that for a second. This sword wasn't hammered out in some forge. It was found inside the tail of a giant serpent. You can't get more mythical than that. This thing was special from the very beginning, destined to be one of the three imperial regalia of Japan. Now, what's interesting is that the sword's name actually changes over time. It starts its life as the cloud-gathering sword, and later on it's known as the grass-cutting sword. But whatever you call it, its job was always the same. It was the ultimate symbol of the emperor's divine right to rule and his military power. And who was the guy who first got his hands on this incredible weapon? None other than Susanoo. He's the god of storms, powerful, wild, a bit of a troublemaker. And his relationship with his sister, the sun goddess Amaterasu, is really where our story kicks into high gear. So you've got the god of storms and the goddess of the sun. As you can probably guess, things between them could get, well, pretty stormy. And one day their sibling rivalry spirals out of control and throws the entire world into a massive crisis. It was this simple but totally devastating chain of events. First, Susanoo completely loses it and goes on a chaotic rampage. His sister Amaterasu gets so angry and fed up that she does something unthinkable for a sun goddess. She goes and hides in a cave and seals the entrance with a giant boulder. And just like that, poof, the sun is gone, the world is plunged into cold, total darkness. Okay, so the sun is gone, the world is in chaos, all the other gods are freaking out. They knew they couldn't just force her out of the cave. No, they had to be smart. They had to come up with a plan to trick the sun itself.
And this was their brilliant solution. First, they stage a huge, rowdy party right outside her cave. Tons of music, dancing, and laughter. Then they hang these beautiful, sacred jewels called magatama on a tree nearby. But the real genius move, the centerpiece of the whole plan, was placing a divine mirror, the Yata no Kagami, so it was directly facing the entrance of the cave.
So inside the cave, Amaterasu can hear all this celebrating, and her anger starts to turn into curiosity. She's thinking, wait a minute, the world is supposed to be dark and miserable without me. Why does it sound like they're having the party of the century? What am I missing? She just had to know, so she inches that giant rock aside, just a little, to peek out. And what she sees takes her breath away. A goddess so dazzlingly bright and beautiful, it's mesmerizing. Of course, what she was seeing was her own reflection, but she'd never seen herself before. She was so captivated by this radiant being that she stepped all the way out of the cave. And in that exact instant, light and life flooded back into the world. And just like that, the mirror's destiny was sealed. It wasn't just a shiny object anymore. It became the sacred instrument that brought back the sun, the very tool that saved the world. It was a symbol of light itself. It's an incredible story, right? But its power for us today isn't just in the myth. The real secret, the clue that connects it to our modern world, is hidden inside the very word for mirror. So how in the world does an ancient myth about gods and goddesses connect to something as simple as a word? The link is really subtle, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. The whole key to unlocking this is to think about one core concept: an inverted image. What is a reflection in a mirror really? It's a copy of the original world, but it's flipped, right? It's backwards. Or you could even say upside down. And you can actually see this idea baked right into the languages. Take a look at this. In Japanese, the word for mirror is kagami, and the word for shadow is kage. Now look at Korean. Gil is mirror, and gokuro means upside down. Can you hear that shared kuya or gu sound? It's pointing to a deep shared root idea. This is the aha moment. It's the conceptual glue holding all of this together. A mirror, a kagami, shows you a kage, a shadow of reality. It shows you the world gyokuro, upside down. These aren't just words that sound alike by coincidence. They are part of a word family, all born from this one powerful idea of an inverted image.
And this is where things get really crazy. This deep, ancient connection between a myth, a mirror, and a word. It brings us right into the middle of a new story happening right now. The story is not over.
I know what you might be thinking. Okay, how can a story about gods and mirrors from thousands of years ago possibly have anything to do with my life today? Well, prepare for a major plot twist.
And here it is. This is from a recent news report in South Korea. It alleges that at a temple named Jinbyobsa, which just so happens to be a temple dedicated to the sun goddess Amaterasu, a cell phone belonging to the First Lady was reportedly found.
So let's just put all the pieces on the table. We have the ancient myth of the sun goddess Amaterasu. We have the sacred mirror that brought her out of darkness. And now we have a very modern, very political story about a lost cell phone found at a temple dedicated to her. What in the world is the connection?
Well, the answer connects the reflective power of that ancient divine mirror to the reflective screen of a modern cell phone. And we're going to unravel that whole mystery in our next explainer. Thanks for tuning in.